want them to subscribe at the beginning of the video? They haven't even seen the content yet. That doesn't make sense. They need something to see. Yeah. No. I'm not going to joke today. I mean, but valid question. Did your mom subscribe? No. I'm not even joking. I'm not even joking this time. That was for last video. I think she's my #1 subscriber. Oh, hello. All right, we'll talk later. That was a valid question. So last video, we passed some data down from the parent component to the child component. Let's pass the data from the child component to, wait, cut it out. I'm trying to be serious here. Let's pass the data from the child component all the way back up to the parent component. Okay. Now I'll review the code that we have. This code is similar, very similar to the actual previous video. Let's review it real quick, in which, let's see, what do we got here? Camera, which camera am I on? Okay, we have the app to the left, in which we have some data, which is my array. Okay, on line 5 under app.js, we have an array of elements in which there are 4 numbers. Not too bad. I think we remember that from the last video. We also have an object called my object, in which there are 2 objects in there consisting of some key value pairs. It is an array of objects. So nothing, pretty straightforward with that there. Okay, what else would we have? We have name. We have a name with a string of Brian. Okay, nice. All right, and we were sending this actual data here to the child component, in which that child component is magically known as child, which is under the H1 block on line 21. On line 22 is our child component. Good. The code for that child component is on the screen to the right. Okay, you'll notice up there that I did split the screen, and it is called child.js. All right, that's not too bad. I thought that was going to be a little bit more difficult, but it seems to be pretty straightforward. So let's go on ahead, and now, surprisingly enough, let's review the rest and kind of trace through the actual information that we have here. All right, so let's take a look. We have, this is actually looking pretty good. This is all still previous stuff from the previous actual video, which is definitely good. There's our array. There's our object, which is consisting of this here. Line 16, we have let name be Brian, and here is our child component, which we built and is actually split over here on the other side of the screen. And we are sending this data, the my array, my object, and name, as props. Remember, we were talking about props last time. So these props are being sent as with values that are here, values that are in the parent component, and we are sending that all the way to the actual child itself, and utilizing that data, which we are showcasing here, in which we have the length and the name that's coming out of the actual object itself here, and the first element of the object array. And we also have the send name prop, which is send name here. Okay, so again, line 7, props.send name. What is send name? Send name is the actual prop here with the value of name, which is right here. That is why we see Brian here and we see Mr. Fullstack here, which is the second element in the actual array, and the name, which is the actual value, the key value pair here. Good. So that, it was just a small little review, but now it's time to send that data back up. Or actually not that data, but let's actually get some more data. Okay, so what are we going to do here? Let's add, and we're going to try to make it short, because what we want you to do here is to basically, as we see those errors, what we want you to be able to do is to have a utility belt for JavaScript. You obviously for React, the prerequisite for React is JavaScript, and of course knowing a little bit of HTML and CSS. Now, right now, we haven't got to styling this application here as of yet because it's bare bones. We're adding our utility belt for React. When you look at the other series, you'll be adding to your utility belt for CSS, JavaScript, HTML, and React, and of course React Native when we start doing the mobile stuff. So these are small videos for you to actually just be able to say, okay, I know how to send data down to a component. I know how to send data from a child component to a parent component and move forward. All right, so a lot of review, a lot of talk there, but let's add a little input box right here, or an input field. Okay, and the data, and actually let's get rid, we can definitely get rid of this. We don't need this here because that was from the previous video. And we don't need this either. We can get rid of that. All right, we'll just try to make the code look a little small. All right, and now what we do have is we have the text from the parent. That's good. That is from the parent. We have the child component with some props. We don't need these props anymore. Let's get rid of those for now. Okay, and let's just refresh, make sure we're good. We do have an input field, which is right here, and we're going to capture the actual input. We're not using any state management. We're not using any type of state whatsoever. We'll end up doing that in the, if not the next video, most likely the video after. But let's capture something on change. On change meaning, let's get rid of this. On change meaning whenever the text changes inside this input field, we want to capture that. All right, and how is that captured? It's captured through the event object. So I think the first thing we're going to actually need is, and it doesn't. Let's create a small little function up top, because at first I was going to add the actual function here, but let's create the function first. So the name of the function is going to be send info. And we're going to be sending that data, or at least the information, to the actual parent. All right, and what are we going to do here? What we're going to do is, just to make sure that the actual function is working when there is an event change, let's console log just some text here. And the text is going to say, we are getting your, we are here. We are here. There we go. Something simple just to kind of make sure that our actual function that we just created here is actually working. We want to make sure all of the traffic is working properly. So let's see here. Now what we can do is add an on change event. So when we actually change, we are going to access this particular function here. So whenever we click on this here, we will actually get the information here in the console. So let's see if that actually works. Let's actually right click on here. Let's see the inspect tool, and it's on the right side. We can change that. Let's make it on the bottom, and let's raise this up a little bit. And let's just clear this out, refresh, make some changes, and it says, okay, so whenever we type, we're getting these actual bubbles here that are increasing because I continuously keep typing something. And so that's good. So on change for that input value, now we're actually getting what we want. All right, but what do we need to do there? We need to send, again, we need to send that data back somewhere. So that's going to be from JavaScript series. We usually get an E or an event. Okay, and that event comes magically by itself, right? So when we are dealing with the input field, we'll receive an event object, and we can actually log that out as well. Let's log the event and see what's actually happening here. And let's see here. So I'll type in just any letter. Okay. And now that I have that, what happens here? What happens here? We actually get the information of the actual event. Everything's captured here. We have target. We have a number of different things within this event object, but what we're going to be looking for is the actual target. So the event dot target dot value. So now we'll be able to log that information out. Let's go back to console. Let's clear this and type in some letters. Let's say FR, and now I have FR which is still all within this child component that we see here. Now that we're getting the actual information, now that we're getting the event target, let's send that information up to the actual parent and print it in the parent. So what are we going to do here? We need something to link the data or link the functions. Since these are two functional components, we need to link this data, or we need some type of communication path from the child to the parent. When we went from the parent to the child component, we sent the data down as props. And that's what we had here earlier, where we had the, we had these props here. These were our previous props. And we sent these props, which were available in our child. But now we're in the reverse. We're in the reverse. We're going back up the tree. So in this case, let's create an actual function in the parent. Okay. So let's say we'll go const, and coming up with function names, you'll find yourself coming up with some weird names, like weird names. Okay, weird names. But we let's to make it make sense. Let's say receive data from child. Do a little camel case on capitalizing every other word. Now, what's going to happen here? We are going to receive what? We're going to receive some data from the child. Now, data from child, it doesn't exist, but it's something that you actually get back. And I'll walk you through that, in which it'll make more sense once I finish that. I know, and again, that data from child can be any name you want. We could have named this, FDA. Right, but just to kind of make it make sense a little bit more, we'll say data from child. That's what we're expecting. All right, let's get rid of that. A little arrow, and so that's good. I think that's gonna work out. Now, why does that look a little ugly like that? Not sure. But anyways, now that we have this receive data from child function, what we can do is we want to see that data. So let's log that data out, data from child. All right, and just to make sure it is the data from the child, let's put a message here, data from child. Now, how do we link this together? We need to send this function down, this function that was created in our parent, and we're going to send it as a prop. And the name for that, we'll just give it the prop name. And again, I'm definitely the worst with coming up with different types of names, but we'll just call it my function from parent. And my function from parent is going to be given the name or the value of receive data from child. Now that we have that, let's see what we got here. We have child, our child component. It is receiving a prop called my function from parent, and it has the value of receive data from child, which is right here. Good. And now that it's being sent as a prop, we can, and let me just move it down a line because just to kind of make it a little easier to read, and move the screen over a little bit more. Now we have access to my function from parent in the actual child component. So now what we can do is we already have an onChange event, and we're looking for the send, which is attached to send info function that we created in the child component. And we can say props dot my function from parent, and the data we're going to send from that is the event target value that the user is typing in the input field. So I will copy that and paste that in here, and I can get rid of this console log for now. So now let's review what we have here. We have, let's refresh. Okay. And we have the child component, we have the parent component, we have the receive data child function that was created in the parents component, and we're passing that as a prop value to my function from parent. My function from parent is a prop that we have access to in our child component, which is right here. And now let's see if we could this on change, which means every time we make a change in here, it should be printed from the parent. So data from child. Okay. So let's type something. All right. F. Okay. Look at that in the console. If you notice, I just typed in F. Now I'm going to type in D. FD. All right. Now FDA. Data from child, data from child, data from child. And to the right, it's in our parent component, which is called app.js. So now anything we type in here on change will send that information up to our send info function. And in that little helper function, we're calling the props.myFunction from parent, which is actually taking in the event.target value and sending that back up to the parent all the way here. Now again, this name, I mentioned that this could be any name. We can call it FDAS and FDAS. That's just data that's actually coming back. So we'll refresh that. All right, that's up to you what you want to name that, and we still get the everything that we actually wanted here. So a little long on that video, but as you notice from the first video in the video series, is once you actually start passing data around, passing data down from parent to child or from child to parent, now you got to start paying attention to all the bells and whistles and everything that you're actually attaching and sending data to. Imagine, well, actually don't imagine, we'll actually see it in the next video series, or actually in the next video in the future. But we will not be sending a lot of data down from parent to child and child to parent. We'll use something more of like a global state, and we'll get into that using like a use state, hooks, or a context API, or the actual Redux toolkit. So there's a number of other ways to send data, but this is another little tool for you to add to your utility belt. And now I will ask you to subscribe and possibly hit the like button if you would like, but subscribe so you can actually have notifications being sent to you, so you can actually get the updated information on new videos that are dropping. All right, Mr. Fullstack out.